A campsite found, burned with no trace of the people who made it. A car left running in dense alpine wilderness. 2 experienced campers who vanished without explanation from one of the most remote valleys in Victoria. That is where this story begins. It has not fully ended yet. Lost Australia covers the parts of this country's history that never got a clean resolution. If that is the kind of story you are looking for, hit subscribe and you will not run out of them. Deep in the Victorian Alps, several hours northeast of Melbourne, sits a valley that emergency services formally classify as dense and dangerous country. It is accessible only by 4-wheel drive track. Roads into it close completely during winter. There is no mobile phone reception anywhere inside it. When someone goes missing in this terrain, search teams with dogs, drones, and helicopters have spent years combing the surrounding mountain bush without finding anything. The valley's documented history of violence predates the recent disappearances by over a century. In 1918, a station manager and his housekeeper were found murdered inside a remote highland homestead. No one was ever charged. The case has never been resolved. It remains one of Victoria's oldest unsolved murders, sitting in the same stretch of alpine country where everything that follows in this video also happened. Between early 2019 and early 2020, 4 separate people vanished within a 60-kilometre radius of the same remote alpine valley. In the context of a thinly populated mountain region, 4 disappearances in 12 months from the same geographic zone is not a statistical coincidence that investigative authorities were comfortable dismissing. Victoria Police confirmed publicly in July 2020 that they were aware of the pattern and treating the cluster as significant. Some of the disappearances had available explanations. The Victorian alpine terrain is genuinely lethal for anyone who becomes disoriented, injured, or caught in rapidly changing mountain weather without the right equipment. Experienced bushwalkers and hunters have died in these highlands under circumstances that were tragic but ultimately explainable. Not all of the recent cases fit that template cleanly. Russell Hill was 74 years old and had spent decades working as a contract logger in the Victorian Alps. He had built sections of the 4x4D tracks that access this valley with his own hands. He was not an inexperienced visitor to this country. He knew the terrain as well as almost anyone alive. Carol Clay was 73, a former president of the Country Women's Association. The two of them had a secret relationship their families were not fully aware of. In March 2020, they drove into the remote valley together, set up camp in an isolated location hidden from passing visitors, and radioed a friend to confirm their position. The following morning, their campsite was found burned. Their vehicle was still there. They were not. What followed was one of the most extensively documented searches in Victorian history. Cadaver dogs, aerial searches, specialist investigators covering vast areas of alpine bush over more than a year. Remains were eventually found in dense mountain bushland, approximately 50 kilometres from the original campsite. Forensic testing confirmed they belonged to Russell Hill and Carol Clay. A 56-year-old former airline pilot was subsequently arrested and charged with their murders. He has pleaded not guilty. The case remains before the courts. The resolution of that specific case did not close the broader pattern of the valley's history. It answered what happened to two people in March 2020. It did not answer what has been happening in this stretch of alpine country for over a century, or what was happening to the other three people who disappeared from the same region in the 12 months before they arrived. In May 2020, a figure who had been discussed quietly among local hunters and campers for years became a subject of formal police interest. He is known as the Button Man, a nickname derived from his habit of carving buttons from deer antlers. He is a reclusive expert bushman who spends months at a time living alone in the alpine wilderness before occasionally emerging to buy supplies at a nearby town. He camps in elevated positions with clear sight lines to anyone approaching. He hunts using handcrafted implements and moves through mountain terrain so silently that multiple experienced campers have described him appearing at their campfire at night without having heard him approach at any point. Crime writer Andrew Rule described the witness accounts publicly in May 2020. When people go up into the mountains, sometimes this man approaches their campfires silently, turns up uninvited, sits down and makes awkward conversation, and people find this strange and off-putting. Multiple separate witnesses had described essentially identical experiences in different years at different locations across the same region. Police tracked the Button Man down in the bush and questioned him formally. He was subsequently cleared as a suspect. A police source told media that being creepy is not illegal. His real identity has never been publicly confirmed. If you want to keep going with this one, subscribe now. There are more of these stories, and this channel is where they live. The Victorian Alpine country kills people every year. That is the reality of terrain that is steep, remote, subject to rapid weather changes, and extremely difficult to search once someone has left the marked tracks. Bodies have been lost for years in the surrounding highlands under circumstances that were eventually explained, even when resolution took a long time. The terrain accounts for some of what has happened here. What it does not fully account for is the specific concentration of cases within a single geographic area over a single 12-month period. The 1918 murders that were never solved. The complete absence of physical evidence in some cases, despite the scale of the searches conducted. And the documented, multiply-witnessed presence of a figure whose behaviour toward other people in this remote country has been consistently described as disturbing, even after police formally cleared him. A campsite burned with no explanation. A valley with an unsolved double murder from 1918. 4 people gone in 12 months. A figure in the mountain dark that police cleared but nobody could fully account for. One case partially resolved, the rest still open, all of it documented, all of it real.